Blog Talk Radio.
Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. Power in the people. We gon' fight, we gon' shout for our rights without a doubt. We gon' love, we gon' sing. We gon' rise and do our thing. We gon' stand and join hands, united as one. We're in demand. Hear our voice, young and old. Fight the lies, let the truth be told. Power in the people. Power in the people.
Yo, this is part two of the Bill 720, back once again with my man, Brother Mike, putting it down, putting in work, brother, putting it in. So yeah, man, this is a good conversation. Kind of going back to where we started, man, and left off, man. I mean, let's talk about quote-unquote race. You know, I mean, I think for most sane people who know about the term and the word race, we actually talked about that, a little bit about that topic on a couple of our previous shows. But in terms of what the modern-day understanding of race is, meaning, you know, white, black, blah, 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 we don't need to go in semantics. Let's just get to the point, right? So, like, In terms of hip-hop, you know, we're talking about the culture, not necessarily the industry. As you mentioned, we're talking about graffiti, we're talking about call and response, we're talking about, you know, B-boys, B-girls, kind of that, you know, overall culture, you know, with African Bambaataa, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So now we have, today we have artists, you know, if you want to name them or not name, you name Eminem, and then in particular Iggy Azalea, and it just seems to me, man, like, I don't know, and then you can give your opinion about this, where it feels, and this is just me, this is just my opinion, this isn't anything else, I just feel like, you know, it's more of a manufacturing process, you know, like, okay, this is me as an artist, and I know we kind of, if you're trying to go mainstream, then we might have to do some stuff to kind of, like, make you a little bit more for mainstream, but, I mean, man, for me, man, it just seems like with some, not all, but with some of these artists that get, quote-unquote, in the mainstream, that they're more so manufactured instead of, like, oh, okay, I can kind of hear you. You know what I mean?
That's actually what it is. It's right. Actually that's what I mean. But that's basically what I said about what's wrong with the hip hop, or it's more so what's wrong with the mainstream and promoted music, because that's basically you're dealing with behind the scenes. You're dealing with shareholders, and you're dealing with profits, and you're dealing with quarterly numbers. I mean, there was at one point where they got that can't think of the name of the machine right now, but there's a machine that's basically out there that's a computer, and what it does is for the radio stations, it recognizes spins. So the remix got changed, because when I got a gold record for remixes, a remix was a song that you just got that was totally just something off the cuff or totally whack, and you just basically remixed, you rebuilt it. It's like having a house and you tear the house down, but the foundation is still there, and you just put up a new house on that foundation, as opposed to tearing everything down, rebuilding the foundation and the house. The reason why I'm saying that is because all of a sudden when the remix changed, and people wondered why the remix was kind of even quote-unquote getting whack, it was because this machine, which recognizes the music, which recognizes spins, so the radio station can record spins for a specific record. If you had a record that was out that already had 600,000 spins, It's kind of like that's where they got the YouTube views from, where then it's like, okay, you didn't want to have a remix come out and have to restart the spins over. because that's normally what you did. But now they found out that you can get, if you got the same music, so now if you got Busta Rhymes, if you just had the same song but you have Busta Rhymes on there and he just added a verse, this machine goes in and recognizes that as the same song, and now you're adding spins onto it. Or you can think of it as sometimes these corporations may do their quarterly numbers, and they'll study the songs within the last 3 months in this genre that sounded like this had a 14% raise in revenue. So guess what, fellas and A&R people? Let's go get some more songs that sound like those so we can raise that percentage even higher. So now you are a manufactured product. So then you're also thinking about, okay, well, how many people are actually popular in buying this? Now you talk about this different race thing. Man, please, hip-hop, 85% of it is going to be Caucasian. And if you turn that 85% into another 100%, you got at least 65 to 75% of that 100% will actually be females. So now you're actually going to be making hip-hop for Caucasian females.
And that's funny you mentioned it, because when we talk about artists like, the ones that are probably more popular now, like, or then I should say, like the Queen Latifahs, MC Lyte, you just had, sisters or, black women who were kind of holding down, that side of the fence, even though it was probably more so male-dominated even back then, and it probably always has been. But, it was predominantly what I'm talking about. Even if you want to talk about culture, even if you're talking about the industry, it was predominantly, black, predominantly, and then you had a sprinkle of, Puerto Ricans, and some people might even say they black too. But, that's debatable. So, you're talking about... go ahead.
No, I was just going to say one of the main reasons why I'm saying that's actually going to tie into the race thing, because then you get into the distribution and actually who owns the companies. And it's like these people are going to try to sell a product, but they're naturally going to try to sell a product to who they think that they can market and sell to. Now, we'd probably be having a different conversation if we had all or more, however you want to look at it or wish, if we had more African American, black, or whatever owned distribution companies and record labels that were huge that had distribution companies. We have black folks now that you just have a label, but you still got to go get distribution. We still don't have any, and if we do, we don't know of them, where there will be major distribution companies of this so-called quote-unquote music, so that way you can say, okay, well, I am going to, have some black-owned stuff and get it out. And as far as the females that you brought up, yeah, they came out there because you needed a balance, but at the same time, the music industry was really more like what I just told you, from hip-hop to pop or whatever. It was basically a female-based industry anyway. So most of the top songs on the charts were always based off of love, off of this, and, guys had to have a job. So girls didn't have a job, so guys didn't have the leisure time to either listen to or buy music. So you figure, how am I going to market to a male so I can get males to start doing things? Well, the music industry, the divas said, I want this in my dressing room. I had to be a diva because I had to be catered to. Stars had to be catered to. Males weren't supposed to be thought of as being catered to, because then you were a sissy, you were sissified or whatever. How do you get this creative person to be this creative male to get out there and really be able to dominate? In comes the male rapper. You know what I'm saying? Now you can have a male person that male people can gravitate to, where a male can actually buy something and not feel bad because he's not buying a present for his girl. And I'm saying that because then when you bring in the female rappers, now they want a space in a place that was kind of almost going to be created for a male, and they want to get their space. So now you're not going to have the female rapper doing the same thing as the female singer, trying to be intimate and, oh, I love you, and even though you cheated on me 16,000 times, I'm supposed to be the woman and I love you. Now they're trying to get in that space and be able to compete with men. So they got to prove their worth. And that brings in how you get the Nicki Minaj's and then the Iggy Azaleas. Because Nicki Minaj, if you look at some of her earlier stuff with her ciphers, she was rapping better than some dudes and didn't have no booty. She couldn't even get a boyfriend, let alone get a record deal. But in comes now She filling that gap like the Beatles were the only group. Elvis was big because he was only the white dude that was doing black. Most of the groups that have really made it big weren't just because of their talents, because they actually filled a void or a gap. And I'm going to say this because I'm not going to be long because we only have 15 minutes, but Nicki Minaj filled that gap to where she was finally a female that could rap really good, that actually looked good, because you just brought up Queen Latifah and MC Lyte. Now, I'm not trying to say that because I'm just some guy and you just got to look good, but come on, let's be real. They weren't the most beautiful-looking ones, so now you have this huge gap. So once again, you put them on the cypher, yeah, they're going to whoop your ass, but they look like they whoop your ass on the street too. Nicki Minaj was the first Barbie girl that came out, so that's actually another reason why she became so big. So once again, we're talking about who's promoting this, though. Because if black people were against this and we had our own distribution company, we would be able to try to battle that or try to refute that and come out with something. But then it's like, how do we do that when we're going to complain to somebody? We're constantly complaining to our boss about changing something when we need to just change our job, which means we need to get our own distribution companies and control everything.
And, Mike, you bring a valid point. I mean, even when you're talking about when Berry Gordy was starting, Motown, I mean, we had, radio stations, we had other outlets, even if we had to say, okay, we're going to, resurrect wherever it may be, in Motown, we're just going to rent this space out and we're going to have, these shows here, and we're going to try to promote artists and so forth. I mean, these days, man, it just seems a lot difficult, not only because of capitalism or capital that it takes to do endeavors, but on top of it, man, trying to convince individuals who have the power to create the distribution for alternative music, right, that might be considered underground, like for somebody like Ciroc. And if you guys haven't heard of Ciroc, go on, Google her. It's SAROC. I mean, she's tight, man. I mean, she's definitely not, in terms of being made up like Nicki Minaj. She's, I guess, quote unquote, one of those traditional kind of MCs, and she's a female, but she's just herself in a way. But yeah, man, you bring up a valid point. So. Like, what would you say, man, to... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to... I didn't know if I was going to answer your question or not, but one thing I would say was that's why one of the last times I spoke, one of my topics was how I ended it, which I would maybe try to end it now, is like, there once was a time for the conscious rapper. Now is a time for the conscious listener, because, once again, the music industry and the record labels, they're pimps, dude. I mean, for lack of a better word or phrase, they're only going to sell what they know they can sell because they need to make money. So if they're not paying attention to you, 9 times out of 10, they're not paying attention to you, not because of your message, not because of your music. It's because they don't think that they can sell to you, because you can be this avant-garde artist, but if you have this huge following to where you can just go ahead and put out a Twitter blast and I'm going to be in MacArthur Park on Saturday at 7 o'clock, and if you got all these fans that's coming there, they're going to realize everybody's there. They're going to figure out a way to make that shit turn into some money. They're going to try to sign your ass. You know what I'm saying? At that point, it's like we really, the whole point is I'm saying there's a time now for the conscious listener, because they won't sell anything that they can't sell. If they think that you're not listening to it, they will not sell it. A DJ is the last person who wants to be the last person to play a hot song. They always want to be the first one. You know what I'm saying? So the record labels are the same way. They got to get out there. They want to get you. They want to sell you because a specific following. So now it comes to a point to where you have to, unfortunately, as a musician or artist, you have to be able to take. Now is the time for you to be able to take control, because you have all these wonderful digital forms of media to get your stuff out there. Now you can't really sit there and wait for them to drop a bucket of money on you and do whatever. If it doesn't sound studio quality, I mean, think about it. With the movie industry, come on, dude. You'll get a bootleg. Everybody will not admit to it, but most of the time, a lot of people who get a bootleg, when they see it, they go and see the real movie because you saw it and you realize this movie is good. Now I want a better experience. I want to go to the theater. You get an MP3 of Soulja Boy, dude, the album is the same as the MP3. Why would I want the regular one anyway? This MP3 is whack. You don't
Right.
even have a live show to supplement it either. You know what I'm saying? But if it was this girl Ciroc, she's real, and you, like I said, I didn't say go on the internet and get on Instagram. I said if you can tweet at 7 o'clock that I'm going to be at MacArthur Park, and within 20 minutes, all these lights come up and everybody do it, and then they realize they got a crowd of 10,000 people at MacArthur Park, and you ain't even showed up in your van yet. Why would you need to record and do all this other stuff?
Right. Yeah, man, you bring up valid points. You know, the stream, the live stream show, it is done, bro. So I just want to let you know. But we are recording.
That's cool.
I'm gonna record this and put this up anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you bring some valid points up, and yeah, for all those artists, you guys listening to this, just do your thing, man. You know, I mean, if you got to do it on the internet, if you got to go out, pass out flyers, if you got to do what you got to do to make it happen, and there's really no excuses these days. So I'd like to definitely thank my guest, man, and co-host today, Micheal. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for inviting me, fam.
It's all good, man. So this is the Build 720, and we'll talk to y'all later. All right, peace.
All right. Peace out, world. Peace.